Okay, we are live now. Good morning and good evening and good afternoon to everyone around the world. Today, I'm very honored to have Linda Wells on the talk to share her latest pictures of portrait sessions. So what with AD100 Pro, guys? This session will be broken down into two parts. First, Linda will spend 15 to 20 minutes to present her ideas and her setup and her concepts with her latest photo shoots. After that, it's Q&A session, guys. So please drop all your questions in the comments, and we will answer them during the Q&A session, which is somewhere between 15 minutes to the end of the talk. All right. Without any further ado, let's get started.
Hi guys, hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Linda Wells. I am a wedding and portrait photographer based here in the beautiful Bahamas, and I'm excited to share this presentation using the AD100 Pro and just talking about fast effective lighting using the AD100. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Aries. Cool. So let's get started, I guess. So let's get into this. So like I mentioned, I'm Linda Wells. I've been shooting portraits and weddings for about 11 years now. And these are all my handles. It's my name, Linda Wells. And let's get right into the session. Let's get right into what I've been doing. So we're lucky here. So I'm based in the Bahamas. We are not on lockdown anymore. We are under curfew. So I took advantage of the fact that I could roam around, and I took a model, a friend of mine called Sean. We went out, and this was actually my first time using the AD100 out on location on a shoot. So I really just wanted to play around with it and see what it could do. So I have the AD100. I have one with the AKR1 kit that has the modifiers, the magnetic modifiers in there. So for me, for this session, and it was a personal shoot, I really just wanted to play around and see just how powerful this little flash could be. You know, I know it's 100 watts, but what can it really do out in the field? I'm a type of photographer that when I'm shooting portraits on location, I like to be quick and I like to be effective. So the first slide here is just testing it out. It was, so just to give you an overview of the day, it was just an overcast day, complete cloud cover. So hardly, you know, there were not much contrast, and I wanted to see just how powerful this flash could be. So this is Sean. This is the first shot of the day, just with the barn doors. So I decided to start with the barn doors. And the reason why I wanted to start with the barn doors for this is I just wanted to control the light using the doors and just keep that light focused on her. You can see this is my lighting setup of that. So she's sitting against the wall. I've got the AD100, and I want to say also that the AD100 is so small and so light, I didn't really feel like I needed an assistant. I just had it on a light stand, and that was it, with the bracket that came with the flash, the pocket flash itself. And so you can see my settings here with the bundles. Now I always start with really low power because I'm trying to just gauge how much I need and what type of look I'm going for. So at this point it was at 1/64 power, and you can see here I like that, and I said, okay, let me add the orange gel that, you know, that comes with it. And if anybody hasn't seen the AKR1 kit, it does come, I have some samples here, I have some here. So it comes with these magnetics. They just slot in here, and they slot on the head of the flash. Pops in here, and then everything is magnetic, so it just pops in there like that. So this shot here is at 1/64 power. It still had the barn doors, but I added this gel to it because I just wanted to change the color temperature. I had mentioned that it was a really overcast day, so the lighting was like super flat. And I thought, well, let me add a pop of color. So you can see there is a slight shadow right there behind her. That's because the power was like super low, and it was acting almost more like a fill light. It was bouncing off that wall and back. And I really loved this location. It had this, it's a coffee shop. It had a mural outside, and I just felt like she was the perfect model for this. So in using this flash for the first time, a couple of things that I noticed and I really liked about it, it was just really easy to move and place exactly where I needed it to be. It wasn't like big and heavy and clunky. It was just really simple to adjust to what I needed it to be. So for the next shot, I went ahead and I wanted to add a little bit more power to the shoot. Oops, can you see? Oops, hold on a second. Trying to get down to the next slide. Sorry.
No worries. Too easy.
Trying to get down. Let's see what's going on. Give me a second. Of course, something always happened. Yes. So this was that. So what I wanted to show next is that, so I then increased the power because I was looking for more contrast. I'd mentioned the light being flat earlier on. So I wanted to increase that. So I increased the power. I wanted more contrast. I wanted more saturation of that orange gel, right, on it. I really wanted more of an impact on that photo. So all I did simply, I have the AD100PRO trigger. Let's just increase the power. I kept my settings with exactly the same. And I simply increased the power from 1/64th to 1/16th. And you can see now on the right side of her, this strong dark shadow. The light was in front and slightly above her. And I just love the tones that you can see here. That you can see that are created with the orange gel and the barn doors. Still controlling the light, still making sure it doesn't spill over too much. So we move. This is just a more of a full length shot, so you can see just the nice warm tones that gel. And I love the way that it contrasts with that mural behind her, like the orange, the coffee spilling out the cup and things like that. So it was literally, I was just really having fun and trying to see just how much range I could get with this, pocket flash, and just having fun with it. In the next slide, and this is just a lighting diagram, so you can get a good idea of exactly the light placement on the light stand and with the gel and where the positioning of Sean the model is. So then we moved. So this is, like I mentioned, it was a coffee shop. So on one side is a mural, and then on the other side is this sort of dark tinted glass where the front door is. And I decided that I wanted to move over there and change modifiers, and also just reduce my exposure and just get a more moody, more contrasting image. I wanted it almost to look as if possibly we were like in a dark space or darker space. And so when I shot this shot, so we'd moved her, she changed wardrobe into this black dress. You can actually see my placement right over here on the right hand side. You can see that little glare right there. So I had placed moved the position of the light. It was still on the stand, placed it behind me to the right of the camera, and captured this shot of her. And I always like to feather my light. So even though it's on the right, it's turned slightly to the left of her. So the light is falling away from her face. I just find it just is a more flattering effect when I feather the light. I typically do feather the light for this. So I had moved it, and so for the modifier for this part, I had taken off the barn doors, I had taken off the orange gel, and I had there was a dome over it. So it's given a nice diffusion of light, spread very evenly. The light is also pulled back from her, so it spreads in in a nice way. And let me move. I'm not sure. Every time I move the slide, something happens.
Yeah,
So,
just keep the
yeah.
slides. Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. There's a little arrow there. You can actually see a little bit of the reflection of the head right there, of the flash. And then the light, you can see the spill of the light because you can see the highlight down her leg and down here, like it's directed, it's coming this way and falling off to the back of her. So that's how I like to keep it. And I like this because it's just a really smooth, a really even, nice light, really quick to do, and just creates a great effect. And the next one is here. So there are some plants right in front of, like when you walk into the coffee shop, there's like a whole bunch of plants right there. So I had gone, they're actually snake plants, which I love, which I have some right behind me. So I had gone behind the snake plants, and you can actually see the reflection of them right here. And I just chose a little opening to photograph her. I do this for different reasons. It's something I do a lot in my photography. It creates interest, layering, it draws your eye to the subject, contrasting colors. And I just loved the way that she kind of leant forward and put her arm over. So this was just another image using the AD100, which I really love because at this point, I had increased the power. And I think you can kind of see that with the shadows that you can see falling off from the chairs as well. And just the highlight on her cheeks and stuff like that, on her legs. So this was me having a little fun with just composition, lighting, and just a little bit of everything. So you can see here that it was at 1/4 power. I was shooting at high speed sync. I've mentioned before that it was a really sort of overcast, but bright. It was bright but flat. So my shutter speed actually went right up to 1,000th of a second at 2.2 and ISO 30. I'm trying to open this up so we can see this. Like 31. It was like really low ISO, and this is my lighting diagram. Forgive the red roses. That is just to show you that I'm shooting through. And then we move on to, so what I had done was I asked Sean to sit against the wall, against the glass. And I sat directly in front of her. And I asked her to lean back and then look at me over her shoulder, almost like a beauty portrait, really strong, sort of really good eye contact. And I was getting the reflection off the glass as well. That was the whole point in shooting it like this. Now at this point, I just love the way the light falls off on her. I did make slight adjustments from the previous shot. I moved it round a little bit. And in the next picture, I went ahead because it's one thing I love to do. And if you follow me or you've seen some of my work, I'm a big fan of using gels and colors in photography and lighting. So right before we left, I said to her, I want it to feel almost like we're in the studio. So I dialed down like my exposure, increased the light, and I decided that I was going to add a gel to this. It wasn't one that came in the because in the kit that I got the greens and the oranges. So, but I had a blue gel, and I was not going to let this get away from me. So I added the blue gel, and we were able to shoot this. And I think it looks almost like a studio portrait in a way. So I was able to increase the power on that to get that saturation of the blue gel and just create that really, really strong portrait of Sean. Yeah, so that was out in sort of in a bright day. And so what I wanted to do with this shoot next which I did recently, was just see how the AD100 works at night. You know, just how powerful, how much light am I going to get when the sun goes down? Because I do like to shoot a lot of nighttime portraits as well. So I gave myself a challenge of just the one AD100, nothing else, to create some nighttime portraits. This was done about, it was like blue hour. It's about just before 8 o'clock. And I decided to use, for the first time, I used the snoot. I just put the snoot on the head. And the reason why was because I really wanted to focus the light on this model here, on Andre. I didn't want too much of a spill. I didn't want to highlight too much of the leaves and the trees and anything like that. I wanted to keep it on him. And I was able to do that. And I have to say, this was so easy to do, because once I had the AD100 on the light stand, I had the snoot on, I got dialed in my power just right. I was really able to balance the ambient, get that blue, blue light, blue hour, and balance it with the light that the AD100 was giving. I didn't use any other modifiers, no gels, nothing like that. It was just purely the AD100 with the snoot directed. I made sure I angled it so it was hitting him and falling off his face. So here he is, just leaning against a tree, and I used some atmosphere aerosol behind him, just sprayed a little bit to make it a little moody and contrasty. And the next shot that you will see is, this was a tree stump that he was leaning against. So I asked him to stand up on it. And the stands that I use are, I think they're 12 or 13 feet. So I was able to just lift up the stand and still hit him, like with the AD100 from quite distance. I have a pullback shot because I really wanted to show how effective. So this is him standing at the top of this tree stump, and he's got to be about 11 feet up in the air. So I'm shooting up, and so here is a pullback of that. So he's standing here on the tree stump, and this is the light stand, and I'm using the S2 bracket as well here because I put it in there. I wanted it to be secure because I'm by myself, and it's got the snoot, and you can see it's still quite some distance from him, and it's lighting him. It's just giving him this nice even lighting right here. And that is really how I created just these shots. And then we started having a bit of fun. I was like, could you jump off? And I did this for two reasons. One, because I wanted a nice, interesting composition and portrait. But another reason was I was just wanted to see how powerful that recycling time on the AD100 was. Like, could it give me an action shot? Could it freeze him, whilst he's jumping off? And it did. We did this a few times, and we just had to adjust, not because of the light failing, but because his arm kept creating a shadow in front of his face when he was jumping. So I asked him just to keep his arms back or down. So this was the AD100 in action multiple times. I'm shooting on, high speed on my camera, my Nikon D850. So we had enough of this. We kind of moved away, and this is just a lighting diagram of that. And I was looking for something interesting to do. So there's like an abandoned building, and I asked him to sit in front of it. And at first, I had just taken a plain shot. And then I realized when I looked around that there were two plants like next to him. And because we're shooting at night, I was like, I can create an effect like a gobo with the AD100 by putting it in the leaves and just positioning him so that he can hit a patch of light. Okay, so I've got a pullback shot here. So here is the AD100 AD100 right there with a dome, and that is all that it had on it, a dome. And I literally just lifted it up and down and I was test firing until I felt that I had this nice patch of light that his face or his eyes could come through. So once I had that locked in, I didn't change the power. I simply just positioned him. I asked him to pose. So he did various things. You could see here, I love just the light hitting his eyes and just his face in this shot. And then I asked him to move and to just sit back against the wall. I really was looking for like this dark and moody like look. I wasn't looking for anything, and I purposely kept my exposure under. I was exposing for the highlights and just letting that flash just do its work, and it performed like really well. I am in love with these photos. I did one with black and white. I feel they're almost like imperfectly perfect, like they're a little bit grungy and a bit like that. And so that was those are two shoots that I did on location. I'm going to finish off with a client shoot that I did real quick. We were pushing to the, you know, like when you've got like hardly any time left because you've got time limits of the shoot, and we got this location and I shot them. It was beautiful to look at, but when I placed them there, it was underexposed, and I had an assistant and I just gave him the AD100 and I just said, just point it at them. So he did it. He did that, and you can see this glare. This is a reflective surface, but it did give me a balanced exposure on them. So what I did in trying to, in delivering, was I ended up compositing two shots. So one with them and then one with the room without the flash, so that I could get rid of the glare, because I was so pressed for time. I didn't give him enough direction to where to place the flash. But what I am happy is that they are now perfectly exposed in this indoor space. And the AD100 was actually super powerful. I didn't realize just how bright and illuminated the room would be when I put it. To be honest, I wasn't really paying that much attention to the power setting. And then finally, I'm just going to share how I used this. I was with another client and I wanted to create sun flare, like a sunset. We were finishing up and I said, oh, it'd be nice to do that. So the sun is actually not, this is the AD100 with the orange gel right on it. So I had my assistant point it directly off to the side and directly towards the lens to create a sun flare. And I wasn't sure whether I was happy with that way. So I had the assistant move to the other side. I was like, can you do the sun from this angle to pretend it's the sun? And I love the way it kind of illuminates the grass and the leaves behind as well. So that is not real sun. That's just the AD100 working as a flash. And that's pretty much it. So that was my fake sun. And yeah, so that's how I use the AD100 in shoots to create like some fast, effective lighting that I know will just work.
Thank you, Linda. That was great. I quite enjoyed the fact that you started with natural look. It's almost like light and airy. Guys, here's your tips with a flash, right? Flash is a flash. It's a tool. And it's still depends on the photographer what kind of look you're going for, right? When you have less lighting contrast between the ambient and the flash output, which means more natural lights, less speed, less flash, you tend to have a natural look. But when you underexpose the ambient, you have a stronger flash, relevantly stronger flash output, you tend to have a dramatic look, like what Linda had. I quite enjoy the blue hour photos as well.
Thank you.
And then Linda showed us some fantastic, which I personally epiphany, which is you can create a beautiful afternoon pocket patches of lights, like a gobo you're referring to, from a night, right? Isn't it? It's a night shot, but it looks like a beautiful warm afternoon, which is fantastic. And then Linda ended up with sharing us those beautiful, quick and easy lighting tips, which is light composition, right? Take 2 shots if you're in a rush and your I don't know, wedding planner tell you, don't worry, take your time, you have 3 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
We all had that. And
Do.
yeah. And us wedding photographer, we don't have the luxury to waiting for the perfect sunset like landscape photographer. AD100PRO, I wouldn't use that to combat the sun, but during the sunset session or in the blue hour, you can still create a pocket or mimic a pocket of golden hour sunset, which is doable. Lots of time you guys were asking us how bright is AD100PRO. This is exactly what AD100PRO can do, to show you what it can do in an intuitive way. And I certainly hope that helps. And I love the talk. Thank you, Linda.
Oh,
Shall we?
Yeah.
Thank you. Should we jump into the Q&A session to answer everybody's question?
I was just looking over.
Yeah.
And I can
Guys, drop all your questions in the comments, and Linda will address them one by one.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in. I can see lots of people from everywhere around the world. And the first question that I'm reading is, what was my favorite modifier of the AKR1 kit? So I've played with pretty much everything. And you know what? I really love the snoot. I really did. I like my lighting to be controlled. I do. I'm a big fan of grids and things like that. But in this kit, and the grid is great, but I enjoyed just the way that this was able to just direct and control the light for me. So this, and it's really easy. It was so easy to put on. So yeah, the snoot is my favorite out of that little kit. What was the white balance when you're using the gel? Okay, so I keep my white balance on auto pretty much all the time, except for if I'm in a reception room that is really has been lit, then I'll adjust it. So it was on auto. What else? Love your composition. Where do you get my ideas for composition? Where do I get my ideas? I follow and I'm a big fan of a lot of street photographers, and I have some really good friends who are street photographers, and it's all for them. A lot about framing and composition with street photography to make it effective. So I am so that's where I get my ideas from. I pull that in because I do shoot street as well, and I pull that in when I'm doing portraits, either for wedding clients or for regular clients. That's where I get my ideas from.
Yeah. So Haru, just again, it's your personality, and it's the the book you read, the movie you watch. It's about who you are. Yeah. So it could be coming up. It's essentially a form of arts, so it can come. The inspiration can come with all sort of media, like the exhibition, anything, the magazine, the fashion. It's relevant with your background as well.
Yeah, actually, in saying that, also, I'm a big fan of watching food shows, and I'm not talking about like where they're in the kitchen. I'm talking like Chef's Table. I find the cinematography in that interesting, and I will watch, and it really inspires me, like the plating and things like that, and I'm sure it feeds into my photography as well. Yeah. Hi, is it possible to shoot a wedding with just one AD100PRO? Any tips for creating lighting shots? Thank you. It's absolutely possible to shoot a wedding with one AD100PRO. It depends what type of wedding you're shooting. So that needs to be clarified. Are you shooting a small intimate wedding? Are you shooting a large wedding? Typically, I definitely think it's 100 watts. It can be done, and if you're thinking of you can do two things with that. You can use it for the larger group shots with a larger diffuser, like an umbrella, using that, or which will give a nice even lighting and cover your subjects. And you can also definitely use it for the creative lighting shots. I mean, I am a big fan of creative lighting. Is one thing that I'm known for, and this wouldn't limit me in any way. I would be able to use it using, you know, the grids and just all the tools that come with it, the barn doors. You can do a lot with it.
In addition to what Linda said, one more question for you, Francis, is would you be using on-camera flash, right? If you're in a dark church or if you're in a certain getting ready room in a relevantly darker area, which you are a one-man team, you need some on-camera flash, you'd better get a V1 as well. Other than that, like, go for it. AD100PRO, I would agree with you. It's a perfect, you know, run and gun kind of photo for creative wedding photo shoots, because it's so light. Like Linda said in the presentation, you don't need a lighting assistant to hold the lights. That's the best part.
Yeah. And you know, and just thinking about it, with a wedding I just shot recently, you know, if you were shooting dancing reception shots and you had a trigger on, either you using your V1 as a trigger or you didn't have a trigger, you can actually, you know, hold this above your head and shoot at the same time. This is small enough so that you'll be able to get some really nice contrasty images of reception dancing and things like that. So it's very, very possible. Thank you, Felipe. Thank you. Yes. So, you know, it's definitely, yes. So AD100 does have a modeling light. It absolutely does. And it, yeah, it has a modeling light. So here we go. There you go. All right. Yes, it does. Please, camera and lenses used for the couple. I think at that point, definitely my camera was Nikon D850. That's my main body. And that lens would have been most probably the 35. I don't think it was a 24. I don't think I went that wide. But so it must be my 35 1.8 Nikon lens.
Cool.
In the lighting through plants. Yes. Yes, it was the dome. It was the dome right here. So the reason why I used the dome and I didn't go do a bare bulb for that was because even though I'm shooting through the shadows, I still wanted to soften the light and to get a more even spread of light using the dome. And it just, you can see how it just clicked on. It's just perfect. It just sits right on there.
Wait, sorry.
It's okay.
I lost track. We're okay. Here we go. That's we have lots of comments here. Good vibes. I don't have to worry about too much about overpowering, so I'm loving the perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think if you have a cloudy day all the time, you don't have to worry about overpowering the sun. AD100PRO might be. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You use it for fill light or you know, creative lighting. So yes, and the gel kit is very portable. Very.
I actually, what I do, I don't have that with me right now. The Godox actually has a creative gel pack which comes separately. I think costs about $10 or $20. It's a square gel. I just, you know, use the don't click that gel over, and that's it.
Clever.
So that's something you can do separately. I think they originally made it for the S30, which is the those gobo lights, LED gobo lights for video, for doing videos. But that actually works perfect.
Oh, I've seen that on you. I can't wait to get my hands on that. I'm gonna have so much.
Yeah, I just find it's quicker than the plastic. You kind of have to click in. It still takes you a couple of seconds for that gel. And I can stack gel. I can stack multiple gels to get a really yellowish or really greenish or bluish sort of effects, which kind of works perfect for my style of photo shoots.
Which modifier is good with the AD100PRO, umbrella or softbox? So I used the umbrella for the first time on a shoot just this couple of days ago, and I was pleasantly surprised the amount of light I got you know, soft, beautiful light. I used it for a maternity session, you know, and it was beautiful. I used I think it's my 130 umbrella, and that was, it fit perfectly. I used it with the S2 bracket, and I, you know, slid it in, so it was perfect. Softbox, I haven't used the softbox to date with it, so I've only used this kit and an umbrella, and I love the umbrella. It was great.
Yeah, personally, I would agree with Linda. Simple, I would use umbrella over softbox. The reason is, if I use AD100PRO because I just want to travel light, right? Even AD100PRO works with both umbrella and softbox. If you want to stick with one-man team, bear in mind you have to carry the softbox or umbrella by yourself. That's the assumption. Umbrella is a way lighter to carry around. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if I have to carry that myself, I would just carry the umbrella around with me. That's all.
Yeah.
If I have assistant, I'll probably just use softbox, but I would use AD300PRO.
Yes.
Because I have assistant anyway. So I would combine. Good. Yeah. Since my assistant is there, I'll just getting to carry heavier light, so I have more freedom in terms of creative shots. If I want to have some do some quick and light setup, be mindful that even with QR series, which is quick release series, it takes a bit longer time to set up softbox and umbrella. So because AD100PRO is so light, it's AD100PRO is probably the lightest of camera flash, and umbrella is probably the lightest modifier.
That's true.
This combination will be quickest to set up as well. So I would say I would agree with Linda. Umbrella with AD100PRO is probably easier to go.
Have you tried AD100 bigger modifiers? I haven't. Like I mentioned, the umbrella is the biggest modifier that I've tried. I have is it SB130? And that is what I used, and it was perfect in that. I don't think I would want to use in anything bigger than that. Personally, that's my personal preference.
I would agree with Linda. If you want to think about using bigger modifiers, why don't you just use bigger light?
Yes.
It probably makes more sense, right? Because AD100PRO is round head. It's designed for run and gun kind of photo shoots, which Linda did today. If you want to stick with a softbox all the time, AD300PRO and beyond, it's probably more suitable for your kind of shots. Be mindful that AD100PRO is it's Fresnel head, right? Because it's pointing to a certain direction. Even though with a dome, you can diffusing different direction. It's still designed for run and gun kind of photo shoots. But AD300PRO, it's a strobe. So naturally, it diffuses lights to almost like 180 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's naturally designed for the bigger modifiers, such as softbox or octabox, which you mentioned. So if you're thinking about something to work with, bigger modifiers, AD300PRO will be probably more better lights, more suitable to go to. But if you've already got an AD100PRO, yes, by all means, just combine those two. Yes, it's workable, and I did use that before. It's absolutely. All you need is just S2 type brackets to adapt AD100PRO into the softbox. That's it.
How do you match images throughout the shoot if it takes all day, so you get midday sun go? So you always use. Well, first of all, okay, I want to talk about the first half of this question. How do you match images throughout the shoot if it takes all day? And you're talking about different lighting scenarios here. So you're talking about midday sun, golden hour, and evening light. I think the beauty of a shoot is that the lighting shouldn't all match, especially if you are shooting in that hard midday sun. You know, a lot of people don't like hard light, but hard light can be so beautiful and dramatic. Golden hour, we know what that looks like. And then, you know, blue hour, evening light. So I don't think I feel like you can still tell a story that the shoot is all encompassing, but the lighting does not have to be the same. So if I was doing an all day shoot, I would be telling the story of the shoot, but I would be telling it using the fact that the lighting is changing throughout the day. And I'd be taking advantage of every bit of that light. So if I'm shooting in the midday sun and it's throwing super harsh shadows, I'd be working on my composition and playing on that. Golden hour, I would be using posing and composition as well to highlight that. And it says, do you always use AD100 throughout all looks to make images cohesive? So for all these shoots that I've shown you today, yes, the AD100 was the only flash that I used. And I don't always use a flash if I feel the image if the look I'm going for doesn't warrant it. But throughout all these, I think I showed about 3 or 4 shoots here, I used an AD100 throughout all of those. Oh, I can't hear you, Aries.
Sorry, I put myself on the mute. Sorry, accidentally. I don't want to interrupt your talk. So another perspective you can look into it is Claude Monet. He has a series of painting called Water Lily through the day, like midday, hot sun, golden hours, evening light, exactly like what you mentioned. It's different color, right? Like what Linda said, midday, harsh sunlight, golden hour a bit softened, and evening light even darken and further bluish cast. It's designed to look like a cohesive series of paintings, which I think if you look at Claude Monet's series of water lily painting, that will make lots of more sense in a way. It got nothing to do with a flash. It's the feeling you want to deliver, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's there is no hot shoe attached. The AD100 is not designed to be an on-camera flash. That would be the V1 that you'd be thinking of. There simply is no connector. There's no hot shoe to attach for the AD100. So as far as I'm aware, I'm not sure who someone's got a hack or something, but I wouldn't even want to put this on my camera just because the weight. I just don't want this weight, and how can I direct this on, like, where am I pointing this on my camera? So it's not designed. It is a pocket flash is designed to go on a stand or with an assistant, something like that. It's not designed to sit on the camera. Is it compatible to be controlled directly by the Canon, or do you need to buy specific dedicated Godox trigger? I am a Nikon shooter, but I know that you need a trigger to fire any flash, whether you use a actual speed light and use that as a master and these as slaves, or you buy a transmitter, a trigger like the AD100PRO. So you will need something to trigger the flash, whether that is a speed light or a trigger, which is much easier to use, and the way you can control your zoom and which channel and which group you're on, which is that's the whole beauty of triggers. The wireless system allows you to control and give as much power or as little power as you need when you're shooting with a flash. So yeah, I would recommend that you purchase a trigger.
Oh, I think he does need a trigger, like AD100PRO C.
Yes, you do. I was going to say we couldn't hear you, Aries. Yeah. Have you tried to place more than one modifier? Yeah, absolutely. I like layering. Oops, my lighting just went. I like layering my modifiers. So I have done the you saw one of them had the barn doors and the gel. I've also done the grid and the dome. And that's a great combination, the grid and the dome. You might wonder, why would you focus the light and then put the dome? But it's you are focusing the light and then you are diffusing the light, so it does give a different effect. So I'm a big fan of layering, so layer away.
Shall we go back to the slide?
Yes, the blue gel. Yes, it was outside. It was the same. That shoot was done. Hold on, am I still sharing my screen? Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, let me go down to show you this slide here. Yeah, so this was the same. This shot was taken minutes after that, so you can see in the background it is daytime. So all I did was I just dialed down my ambient light, brought it all the way down by either increasing my shutter speed, I can't remember exactly, and then put the gel on and just increase the power. So that's how that was done. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great photo. Well done. Do you use the modeling light? No, I don't use the modeling light much at all. No, I don't. Should I stop?
Funny thing you talk about modeling light, because I was shooting another food photographer the other day. I was hanging out with him. He was using AD100PRO. He used modeling light all the time. Because when food photography, the light needs to be particular, right? Because he's just using modeling lights, just make sure the bundle is going to the same, exact sort of direction, and half of the lights is kissing at the glasses, and half the lights at the middle of the glasses. So I would say modeling lights during the daytime outdoor might not be working, but with studio shots or night shots, it just under different scenario, right? It might work, but it's not a huge bright 40 watts modeling lights. Just to know.
Yeah. Counter the harsh sunlight. Thank you again. It does not sell to 9 p.m. and we have no trees either. Can the 8300 count? Yes, the 8300 can, absolutely. Do you mean the 300 or the 100? Because if you're talking about the 8300, yeah, the 8300 can absolutely counter the harsh sunlight, depending on the power you set it at and your f-stop. Yes. Here in the Arctic, the sun does not set to 9 p.m. and we have no trees for Mars either. Okay, but if you're talking about trees as like a gobo, like how I use the plants, it doesn't have to be a plant or a tree. You can use anything that has shape that can throw a shadow. You can use that to create some sort of effect if that's what you're referring to, Francis.
I'm trying to figure out where Arctic is. We're in Arctic.
I'm gonna assume it's up north. Very cold. Like
there. Oh,
way up there past Alaska.
I'm trying to Google on the Google map. Also, like, where's Arctic is?
Tell us where exactly you are. I mean, I'm intrigued now.
That sounds exciting. I mean, it's not the light I'm worried about. I'm worried about you. How would you? Isn't that cold there?
He says it doesn't set till 9 p.m. So they have all this sun all day.
I would assume it's similar to Iceland kind of. I would assume it's similar to Iceland kind of kind of environment. I would say 8300PRO. Yes, it definitely works. It will help you to combat harsh sun. We all know that it depends on which modifiers you use. How far would you place the lights of your subjects? But from my experience, 8300PRO would work. You can either use it as a key light to combat the sun, as a harsh light source, bare bulb, or with standard reflector, or you can get an umbrella as a soft fill light. Not so much counter the sun, but feel the shadow lights when to balance the sun in a sense. If you need a bit more power, you can get AD100PRO, which is equivalent to 4, which is 1200 watts, which is equivalent to 4 AD300PRO as together. If you need a bit more power, just to know there's another option there for you.
They're such great questions.
Yeah, it's a great question. So you need to really
Geography
use scenarios.
key in, like labels. I haven't seen it, but I know that on the Godox, funny enough, on the Godox YouTube page, I saw a video on contrast lighting that they did recently,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised if it could be used like that. I don't see why not, because it has modeling light, and if you are talking about to really key in on certain things like labels with video or photography, why not? That's something I'm not an expert in that area. For sure.
So Godox has a SA17 adapter, basically adapt, you know, 8100 Pro or 8300 Pro into the gobos, the lighting gobos, the optical gobos. The gobo actually comes with a lens, which is 85, 65, and 130 lens, and it comes with all those little, gobo different pattern shapes, allows you to focus the lights in an articular area, like you mentioned here. So check out the S30 Moody accessories that will help the lights to focus on certain area. Even though the accessories were designed for S30, you can sort of adapt it for your AD100 Pro as well. So that's the beauty of using Godox sort of ecosystem, which the modifiers are interchangeable with adapters. Hope that helps.
Fast pace, like dancers. Not dancers, but like I mentioned with the second shoot in the blue hour, just jumping and moving. I don't typically shoot dancers, but I think just like anything, you got to understand the tools that you have. What can do. It's like if I was shooting a fast moving subject, I know that my camera needs to be shooting at a high frame rate, and then to the recycling time of which one of my flashes I use. But I feel like as long as when you know your equipment and your gear, you can have it, perform for you, as you need it to. So that's how I feel.
This is where I think you should go to the actual local store to give a go. Try to figure out what sort of power you need. For example, you need the AD100 Pro at 1/16th power or AD1200 Pro at 1 out of 128th power. Because when shooting dancers, we don't use full power, aren't we? We try to capture as many movements as possible. Are you the guy who's shooting 20 frames in a second, or are you the guy who's shooting 3 frames in a second? Figure out your lighting pattern. Figure out how fast you want to shoot and how much power do you need. Go to a local store. See the key here is recycling time. See if the recycling time of the light will match to your needs. It sounds to me, there's a huge difference between you shoot pew 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 per second, or you should unstop for 20 seconds. So figure out your how much power, how fast you want the light to recycle, and go to the store and try it out. Personally, I wouldn't use AD100 Pro. I would use AD100 Pro to do 1 or 2 jumping shots for the icing on the cake, like what Linda did. But if I shoot a dancer all day long, I would use AD300 Pro for location because it's light. I would use AD1200 Pro in studio because it's the fastest recycling time with the same power output. Yeah.
So I just want to touch on that in full transparency. So at the very end of that blue hour shoot, I asked Andre, the model, to do a fast-paced movement where he was coming towards me and jumping. or like, you know, he's a track athlete. So I was asking him to do something like, you know, running or something like that. And I found that at the end, and it wasn't a very long shoot, that shoot, maybe at the most 25 to 30 minutes. But at the end of that, even though the power on my battery was saying still full, it was still full, the recycling time just couldn't keep up with what he was doing. So I was able to just get one shot out of how many frames, and you know, I wasn't even guaranteed that that was going to be a shot that was you know, in the action that I wanted to do. So I in using it for that, those 5-10 minutes, I know that if I'm going to be shooting dancers or anything that's fast moving, I'm going to whip out my AD300. I'm taking that with me. That I know can keep up, can perform, and do what I need it to do. Is a light bright enough? Is to reduce pupils when the studio. I'm not sure about. I don't understand the question. Do you understand?
Yeah, I think, you know, in the dark area, the pupil might just go bigger, like a cat. Think about the cat.
Oh, I'm not sure.
I'm not. Me neither. So sorry, buddy. We couldn't answer that question. I never. It wasn't ever a worry for me, so I never look into those.
Yeah. And also, I just want to go back. If you're worried about darkness in people's eyes, then you could use a reflector for catch lights, or you could, you know, center the light so that it creates a catch light in your eye if you want some illumination in the eyes. There's many different ways of creating catch lights.
Yeah.
I'm just
I think he's worried about the demon kind of look. You know, you have a huge pupil in the dark.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in the Toronto area. What do you think about AD200? We get lots of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this because Aries was watching one of your videos earlier on today, and you said that it was like AD200 was like a long relationship you'd had with someone that was very faithful, and then you meet the AD100, and that's like
I know. I know.
I want to say that the AD200 is my favorite flash. The AD200, I love the AD200. It's something that I don't even think twice about. And so if you do get a lot of sun in Toronto area, like I get a lot of sun in the Bahamas, you can use AD200. I tend to stack them up. I like the way they fit in my bag and just the ease of them. So you can stack up 2 AD200s together if you need that 400 watts of power. But I am a big AD200 fan. I use it in like 90% of my work, and it's for me, it's enough to give me what I need. And when it's not, I stack them up and I have 2. So I think definitely the AD200 can work for you for that.
We have answered that question already. So
why not try out a Fuji film camera with Godot? I actually do have a Fuji camera. I use that for my street photography, but because I use it for my street photography, I don't use the flash. I'm trying to be as discreet as possible and get the shots I need, so I don't use flash. But if you're talking about, you know, regular Fuji with for your work, you can absolutely use a Godox. You know, Godox is for every type of camera.
You just need the Fuji trigger. That's all.
Yes, you just need the Fuji. Make sure it says F on that trigger.
I don't know.
V1.
I don't know. I find it's funny, but yeah.
I will say, well, first of all, the biggest thing is that the V1 has a hot shoe and can sit on your camera, and the AD100 does not. AD100 is not an on-camera flash. So that is the difference. Are you somebody that likes to have a flash on your camera, or are you someone that prefers to direct the light for it being off camera? They're different in wattage and power output. and they're both round head flash, so modifiers will fit on both of them. The modifiers that will fit on the V1 will fit on the AD100, but you're going to get less power if you put that V1 on a light stand in an umbrella. That's, you're going to get less power than you're putting the AD. So it's definitely a personal preference. For me, if I have to pick one out of the other, it's going to be the AD100 because it gives me more power.
Yeah, V1. Go for V1 if you need on camera. If on camera flash is essential. Go for AD100PRO. You will get a bit more power, faster recycling time, and a slightly better performance with high-speed sync. Yep. And I think here we have a last question here.
Oh, she asked. Just asked that. Well, yeah, I just answered it.
Yeah. Personally, I will go for AD100PRO. I just find it's easier to fit in my bag.
Yes. It's your thing.
Think about the camera bag you have, right? It's very the AD100PRO is similar size with your 30 f1.8. It's similar to a prime lens, like 50 GM or 35 GM with a Sony, because I'm a Sony user. It's easier to fit in my bag. With AD200PRO, because I use round head with it, it's a bit long and bulky.
Okay.
It's similar size with 70-200, like lengthwise. I know it's not as big, as bulky as 70-200, but when I have a round head, it's actually kind of long. It's harder to fit in my bag.
I don't use my AD200 with the round head. Yeah.
I use round head all the time.
So that's why. And as primarily a wedding photographer who is there from daylight to nighttime, and my clients know me for creating like a signature nighttime portrait, I need the power. I need that power to last me right through the end of the night, so I can create a really beautiful dramatic shots for my clients. So that's. But for if I'm running out, if I have a portrait session and I have to run out, that AD100 is the first thing that I'm going to pick and put in my bag.
Yeah. Another thing is with AD100PRO, it's easier for the adapters for the AKR1 ecosystem as well, like what Linda used today. It naturally, that's another consideration because naturally it will fit the round head IKR1 accessories. When you get AD200PRO, you need to separately purchase the round head, which I think I can't remember the model number, the round head, in order to use the AKR1 accessories. So that's a bit extra cost for you as well. But it's your personal preference, as I said.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think that's all the question today. Thank you so much, Linda. It was a great talk.
It's been great. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I do have more content on my YouTube channel. You can follow me, Linda Wells. Just search me. And my handle for everything else is Linda Wells Photography on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and everywhere else.
So besides Linda does great portrait, and she does lots of creative wedding as well. If you follow Linda on her Instagram, you will find all her works there. She does put a lot of lighting setup and BTS in her Instagram as well. When you look at her Instagram work, you'll figure out more what she talk about, the difference by using the flash for the natural look and the dramatic look to create some afternoon image in the midnight or in the total pitch black environment. Just follow her on her Instagram. You'll see all her BTS there. And through her Instagram, you can pretty much find her website as well as YouTube channel, which she put lots of BTS videos there as well, just in case you guys need a bit more details. Thanks so much, Linda.
Thank you, Aries. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys until next time. Bye.